Good evening. Heartbreak for Spain. Morocco dancing their way into the quarterfinals. The upset of the tournament so far, and then Portugal with a demolition over Switzerland, a record 6-1 win. This is Matchday Live from the 246, sponsored by Guardian Group. I am your host tonight, Anne-Marie Burke. Tonight's show has lots and lots to talk about. The round of 16 is complete. The quarterfinals are set. And joining me will be our analyst. Back with us again tonight, Amber de Silvia, the national senior women's team midfielder. Welcome back, Amber.
Hey, good night.
Good night to you. Kenneth Onyekwe, who has spent decades watching, writing, and discussing world football. My statistician of sorts, breaking it all down with me tonight. Good night, Kenneth. And Derrick Leacock, the former player for the Pride of God Hill and host of Straight Talk Football Show on Radio 94.7 FM. Good evening to you, Derrick.
Hi, good night, guys.
Now, guys, we have so much to discuss, and we will get right into it after we take this break. And we are back. Spanish fans left in tears. Morocco fans possibly exuberant disbelief. Achraf Hakimi was the hero for a chipped penalty as Morocco stunned Spain with a 3-0 penalty shootout win after what was a goalless draw to reach the World Cup quarterfinals. And here's just how it went.
Extra time.
Where do you think it went wrong for Spain? After all, they don't have a good shootout start, having lost 4 or 5 shootouts in a World Cup appearance. So the substitutes actually taking penalties. What do you make of how Spain handled today?
Well, I think where it all went wrong is before the match when they decided to take 1,000 penalties for practice. Because, I mean, these guys are professional footballers, and so every one of them should be able to convert a penalty. But the things you can't replicate in a game are the nerves, especially at these high stakes, and it's all mental. So obviously, I don't know if maybe in the back of their mind they're thinking about their history in shootouts and their record, but I think he should have probably put a little bit more focus on finishing and creating more chances.
Kenneth, let's compare the overall stats. So Spain with the most of the possession, 73% to 23%. Sorry, Spain, they notched over 1,000 passes. They got all the corners. The shots on target for both were pretty low, 2-1. Actually, for Spain, one shot on target from their 1,019 passes. Now, Morocco, however, they looked a more organized team, more defensively tactical, despite the stats not looking so pretty. Kenneth, let's break down the game from your perspective for both teams.
Well, like you said about Spain, they were passing a lot, over 1,000 passes. I think Rodri had over 600 passes, which is a new World Cup record. But it was like a colleague of mine on the analyst team said, passing without purpose. At past World Cups, I believe at World Cup 2014, I spoke about ball possession and ball efficiency. Spain is a ball possession team, but they're not a ball efficient team. They did all this passing, but there was no penetration. Morocco was not threatened. In no case were Morocco threatened that was going to do something with all the passing. It was just pretty much boring football. Nothing happening. They did all that passing and they played right into Morocco's hands. Morocco knew that they couldn't match Spain with perhaps, tackling them and perhaps going toe-to-toe with them. So they decided to stay compact and wait for their chances. And if they didn't get those chances, don't concede. In American football, a certain coach called Brady said, defense wins championships. And that is what Morocco displayed today. They defended, they were cohesive, they didn't give Spain too many chances. And, Spain didn't deserve boring football. We know the Spanish team in 2010 offered us tiki-taka. This current Spanish team, and if we go through their history, what they are giving us now is TikTok football, not tiki-taka.
Now, this is where we're going to bring in Derrick here. Now, Morocco will take this winning momentum into the next phase, I'm sure, but they face Portugal. How would you piggyback on such a huge win? And being the first African coach for Walid Regragui to take his side to the quarterfinals, what do you think that Morocco is going to do here, knowing that Portugal on the other end also came up with a big win today?
Yeah, it's going to be a big challenge, but I think Morocco are going to go into this game fearless. As you mentioned, they just became the first African team since 2010 to qualify for the quarterfinals of the World Cup and the first to win a penalty shootout. So these guys are going to be fearless, nothing to lose. And as Kenneth mentioned as well, they've defended resolutely all tournament. They've only conceded one goal, and that was their own goal. So these guys are going to have nothing to fear. It's going to be a tight game. They're going to defend well, but my question is, where are they going to be able to find goals? Because thus far, that has been a slight challenge for them at this tournament.
And definitely finding goals is key at this point in time. Now, next up, speaking of goals, we're going to look at that fest with Portugal and Switzerland. Later, there is also the goal of the day. And we want to hear from you, the fans. The WhatsApp number is 228-5562. Send us your predictions and your opinions. Don't go anywhere. Matchday Live. We'll be right back. And we are back with Matchday Live. Portugal thrashed Switzerland 6-1 and will now play Morocco in the quarterfinals of the tournament. The big pre-match news was that Portugal had dropped Cristiano Ronaldo, but they did not miss him with his replacement Goncalo Ramos as he scored a hat-trick. Pepe, Rafael Guerreiro and Rafael Leo also got in on the score sheet. And then Manuel Akanji pulled one back for the Swiss. Let's look at that game.
Rafael
21 years old as a forward who only made his debut last month, his first start for his country at the World Cup. Let's dissect a Portugal side that was firing at all cylinders.
Yes, I mean, we could start from the back. The coach, in fact, he must have prayed really hard last time because he went with Pepe. He's been changing his defense throughout the competition. This time I went with Pepe. It worked out. He decided to, after all the issues on and off the pitch with Cristiano Ronaldo, he decided to go Gonzalo Ramos, whom, like you said, made his debut last month against Nigeria and scored on debut. Uh, Came on for Ronaldo against Ghana for a few minutes. Came on for Ronaldo against Uruguay for a few minutes. And he decided to put him in the starting spot ahead of Rafael Leao and also Andre Silva. And Gonzalo Ramos paid him back by becoming, the youngest player to score a hat-trick since Pele in 1962. And the first player to score a hat-trick in the knockout rounds of the World Cup since Thomas Kouravi in 1990. And again, also becoming the first player to score a hat-trick on debut since Miroslav Klose in 2010 World Cup. So you can imagine that it was such an inspired choice. And with the way they started, that sort of drove them on. Again, also, he must have been really blessed. They've been playing the Swiss quite often in the past 4 years. Recently, in June, they played the Swiss at home, beat them 4-0. So they know their Swiss cheese. They really know them. They know that this Swiss team has more holes than Swiss cheese. They have more defensive holes than Swiss cheese, and they were really relishing the opportunity to dig into the Swiss, and you could see what they did with the Swiss when they got their hands on them.
Now, I want to weigh in a bit more on Ronaldo and this debate. Persons were saying just because of his obviously benching, because we think it is punishment for how he played before, can we discard him as being a key starter now, showing that the team has come together without him up front, or is he still their main man?
I don't know. I think this is a question for the manager of the Portuguese team, but I find it astounding that one of the greatest players that have ever played the game has now seemingly been relegated to a problem. The idea that Portugal are better without him. Yes, they did well today. However, let's be honest. After the first goal, the defending from the Swiss, as Kenneth mentioned, it was shambolic. As Portugal progress in this tournament, as we mentioned, they will play Morocco, who have defended really well. Will they be able to get away with not having Cristiano Ronaldo in this team? I think if they're going to win this tournament, surely he's going to have to play a significant role.
Before I get to Amber, I want Kenneth to come in here. Yes, Kenneth.
Yeah, I
saw your face.
Quickly. Yes, because, if you go through history, Derrick, you'll have noted in 1982, Paolo Rossi wasn't the favorite for the Italians. He came in the second round, in the second game of the second round against Brazil, scored a hat-trick, scored 2 goals in the semi-finals against Poland, and then also scored the first goal in the final. In 1990, you had Salvatore Toto Schillaci. He wasn't the favorite for the Italians. He was meant to be Roberto Baggio and Mancini. But Schillaci came from nowhere and was the inspirator that took the Italians to the semi-final. So if the Portuguese have come across someone, and again, look at the team's chemistry today. João Felix was firing. Bruno Fernandes was in his full metal. Bruno Fernandes might be one of the persons that might be considered for the golden ball in this competition if he continues with his consistent performances. So it might just be, for me, I believe that the coach will continue to bring on Ronaldo as an option from the bench rather than go back to that option that didn't work so well early on in the competition.
I guess I want to bring in Amber here now. Now, Portugal playing the same lineup as Kenneth would have said for the quarters. Coach Santos now has to decide whether to stick with Ramos or restore Ronaldo as the top scorer in men's international soccer, apparently one of the game's greatest ever players. What do you think should be Santos' next move?
I mean, Portugal just beat Switzerland 6-1, And yes, the Swiss, their defending was a bit questionable at times, to say the least, but it's the round of 16, and everybody from defense to attack did their part. And they did so beautifully. I mean, they were just really playing as a team, great fluidity, and it's one of the best team performances I've seen from Portugal for a long time. So they have the momentum. Every player deserves their place to start for the next round, and why break up a good thing, you know?
I want to throw this question to everyone. With such a display today, can Portugal top this? There's still plenty more football to be played, Derrick. Do you think they can top this performance today?
I think it's an interesting question. I wonder, as I mentioned before, as they progress in the tournament and come up against stronger teams who will defend better if they're going to have so many opportunities. But look, Portugal are a good team. As Kenneth mentioned, the coach has made some adjustments with the defense throughout the course of the tournament, but they have good depth. So I think that regardless if Ronaldo starts from the bench or if he starts from the beginning of the game, as long as Portugal make it to the later stages of this tournament, they will have a chance.
Okay, now is a good time for us to look at our CBC Fantasy Football League leaderboard. Rice and Sue is still out front with 285 points. Tapiz is next with 254 and Suave WC 248, rounding out the top three. Rice and Sue picked up a whopping 78 match points today, so he's really our leader out front. It's not too late for you to get involved. Use the FIFA Plus app or the desktop version via your computer. You can look for the CBC Fantasy League, and our code to enter is OZVH29KR. At the bottom of your screen as well, we've been running your predictions for tomorrow's game. That should be Friday's games. So send your predictions and your opinions on the World Cup via WhatsApp to 228-5562. Now up next, we have our play of the day, your WhatsApp post. We're going to tap into our fans to see what you have to say. And we also take a look at Friday's fixtures. This is Matchday Live from the 246. And we are back. Now it's a really good time to take a look at our play of the day. It comes from the man who found the back of the net 3 times. This one, the most beautiful of them all. going today. So to our fans, now, one of these WhatsApp says today was a complete team effort by Portugal, but they still need Ronaldo to go further. I think, Derrick, this comes back into play where you and Kenneth are at it. So I want Derrick first to address this, and then Kenneth, I want you to address it as well, because you two have been going back and forth. Derrick, today was a complete team effort, but they need Ronaldo.
Bad option to have at all. As you get to the semi-finals and the finals of a big tournament, you have a player like Ronaldo at your disposal. As I mentioned, whether you use him from the start or you bring him off the bench, surely he can be an asset to Portugal in their attempt to win this tournament. Surely.
Ken, if you want to address this, the particular one, do you think that they
Sure.
need Ronaldo?
Oh, sure, they need Ronaldo. If you recall the Euro 2016 final, Ronaldo got injured. He was very influential. He was the assistant coach, or he was the loudest voice from the coaching team that was directing the players to defend stoutly and defend their 1-0 lead, and for him to raise the trophy. Sure, they need Ronaldo. Today, Gonzalo Ramos, after the game, said Ronaldo is our leader. You saw the way Pepe treated Ronaldo when he came on. He handed back the captain's armband to him and told him, hey, captain, go ahead. Yes, they need Ronaldo as a member of the team. I know a lot of people talk about great squads, but it's teams that win World Cup. Great teams win World Cup, not squads. So you need Ronaldo not to be a sulk. Rather, he should be an essential member of the team, whether or not he's on the pitch, driving the team on. Starting 11, they don't need Ronaldo's low energy when it comes to the starting 11. You need everyone for those kind of elite games of the quarterfinals and semifinals. Everyone must be pushing in the same direction. Everyone must be pressing. Everyone must fall back and defend when you don't have the ball. And Ronaldo is not capable of offering that for 90 minutes. That is the reason why Gonzalo Carlos is an inspired option and an inspired find at such a crucial period.
I think I want Amber to weigh in on this one before we address this particular WhatsApp too. What is your take on how integral Ronaldo plays that part for Portugal?
I don't really have too much to add because Kenneth, for me, hit the nail on the head. It's a team sport, and the whole squad is needed to a certain degree. I don't think he will have a big role that like he used to. I think he will come off the bench, and that's where I see his role being. But yeah, I think that the starting 11 from today just did a great job, and they should be the one to continue.
Now, I'm going to stick with you here, Amber. We underestimated Morocco, they said, and especially in this round, but they look well organized. All tour, all World Cup, and they were the better team today. Do you think that that is true about Morocco?
Yeah, definitely. We all underestimated them, and yeah, they're a very compact, well-disciplined team. They're going to be hard to break down. As Derrick said before, it's going to be interesting to see where their goals come from. But to reach the finals, you don't necessarily need to score. If they're able to defend right through and win on penalties, that's one way of making it. So, but they have nothing to lose. They don't have the pressure of the other bigger countries on them to win the World Cup, so they can just go out there and enjoy themselves and play freely.
Kenneth, do you agree that they lost their two defenders in this victory with the informed Portugal side?
Yes, but again, let's look at the success of the Spanish team in 2010. That was the pinnacle of tiki-taka. That Spanish side that won the World Cup in 2010 scored only 8 goals, 4 goals in the first round, and single goal wins in the knockout rounds. But they didn't concede. They conceded only 1 goal in their opening match win against Switzerland. Only in the opening game. If the Moroccans can compete with their disciplined defending and offer some threat. The guy that came on, I forgot his name, I think it's Mohamed Cheddar. He came on, he had so many chances, and he flopped all of them. If they could convert those chances, those few chances that they have, they might have a chance of getting to the semi-final. As an African, I want to see an African team in the semi-final for the first time, and I'll be really backing them against the Portuguese. But the Portuguese are really driven. Unlike the Spaniards that were too busy passing sideways, the Portuguese are willing to mix their game, perhaps play the balls forward, perhaps put the ball into the area and see what happens. Look at the amount of forward balls that they played today. So the Moroccans have to be very, very careful with being too close to their box because, again, we can see the Portuguese have their shooting boots on. If you give them the chance, an opportunity to sort of calculate and, get on target, they might get some shot off. And, once, again, at this kind of high level, if you concede first, you have the problem of opening up to your opponents to perhaps exploit the spaces that you create when you go chasing the goal.
Derrick, I'm going to throw this one to you. Ramos earned his start in the team today. Goodbye, Ronaldo.
Well, how about a controversial opinion? How about we play both Ramos and Ronaldo? No,
I am
seriously.
I'm not sure that combination. I mean, it's about chalk and cheese. When I say chalk and cheese, the combination they're, running, I don't know if they'll gel together. We'll see how that goes. But the round of 16, however, the quarterfinalists have been decided. So let's start to look ahead, team. Brazil versus Croatia, Argentina and Netherlands on Friday. Morocco and Portugal, England and France on Saturday. And we're into the business end of things, the quarterfinals, as I would have mentioned. Brazil and Croatia, Argentina and Netherlands. That's the first set of matches we're going to look at on Friday. What are your expectations?
Yeah, good thing you're not asking me about my predictions because my predictions never seem to be right. But I think what I said last night stands true, that as long Croatia will be aiming to keep Brazil from scoring. And I think the longer that goes on, the more anxious Brazil might become and the more comfortable Croatia might be. Because as we know that they have a history of going to extra time and penalties. So I think it's going to be a long match, a tough match, but I'm going to say Brazil will probably come out victorious. And for the other game, I'm going to say 2-1 to Argentina.
Derrick, I'm going to throw this to you now. Netherlands, Argentina, Croatia, Brazil.
Well, I think the entire football world would love for nothing more than to see Neymar versus Messi in the semi-final of the World Cup. Brazil versus Argentina. They are the favorites, but look, these games are close, and all it takes is a moment of brilliance from any one player to decide the outcome. But if I had to, I'm saying Brazil and Argentina will qualify.
And Kenneth, quickly, who are your two to advance?
Well, give me 1 minute to establish again. I always tell Brazilian fans that I go all over the island to go and talk to. You need to be able to be balanced when you review your team's chances. Number one, Brazil hasn't scored against a European team or an African team in the first half of any of the games they played so far this World Cup. Let's take it that the South Korean game was an abnormality. Seriously, that's a fact. They haven't scored in any of the first half. They haven't answered the question of how, they failed the question of how do you respond when you concede a goal first. They considered it against Cameroon, they couldn't come back. They lost that game. The Croatians are going to offer them a very, very stiff test. They're going to be very, very disciplined with their defending. They're going to defend stoutly. And also, they're going to set traps for the Brazilians and see if they can exploit those traps. I give it to the Brazilians that they've been very good in defense. And also, they have youth on their side. The Croatians have put in quite a lot of miles against Belgium and also in the second round game against Japan. So that is going to tell against the Croatians. But they really have to watch out with the way they approach the game. I feel they should invest a lot of energy into the game, Brazil early into the game, to try and get early goals. If not, if it drags too long, like Amber mentioned, they might be in trouble. There might be a sting in the tail from the Croatians.
And then, Kenneth, just quickly, a single score line is all I need from you for Netherlands and Argentina. Just give me a prediction.
3-2 to the Netherlands.
3-2 to Netherlands. So Netherlands and Brazil to advance.
No, madam. Croatia and
Netherlands. Okay, from your end. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. That's it for our show. I'm absolutely clear on that right now, Kenneth. Thank you so much, guys. Kenneth, Amber, and Derrick. That's our show for tonight. As the World Cup takes a break, the teams regroup for the quarterfinals. So will we. So we'll be back here on Friday as it's into the nitty-gritty of things in Qatar. On behalf of the entire team, my analyst, production crew, this has been Match Day Live from the 246, sponsored by Guardian Group. I'm Anne-Marie Burke. Good evening.